About 12 minutes from now, the Poisk will be in the general vicinity of the International Space Station. Will begin a 9-minute fly around to precisely align itself about 120 meters away from the zenith port of the Zvezda service module, which has never been used before for a docking. The port was set up over the course of several spacewalks, 3 spacewalks, in fact, that were conducted over the past year to install docking targets, an antenna installation for the Core's automated rendezvous system, and the repositioning of a docking cone that was completed on June 10th by Gennady Padalka and Mike Barrett of the Expedition 19 crew. That docking cone was repositioned to provide the correct location for the apparatus, to which the Poisk module will be mated to automatically a short time from now. Once the Poisk is docked to the International Space Station, the assembly of the International Outpost will be 84% complete, with a total mass of 732,197 pounds after the STS-129 mission that delivers 2 spare parts platforms called the Express Logistics Carriers 1 and 2 platforms with critical spare parts for the post-shuttle era of the International Space Station. Once the STS-129 mission is complete, the mass of the International Space Station will have grown to 759,222 pounds. Cameras on the International Space Station on the truss of the station, now showing the brand new Poisk module as it begins its terminal approach for rendezvous and docking to the zenith port of the Zvezda service module. Here in the International Space Station Flight Control Room, Flight Director Holly Riding is about to go around the room for a go-no-go for docking. The same poll was taken a short time ago by the Russian Flight Control Team at the Russian Mission Control Center in Korolyov, outside of Moscow. All of the Russian solar arrays are feathered or positioned edge-on to prevent any inadvertent pluming by the thruster firings from the propulsion bus at the back end of the Poisk module during its final approach for docking. That propulsion bus, by the way, will be jettisoned on December 8th, leaving just the Poisk attached to the zenith port of the Zvezda service module. That propulsion bus no longer needed once the Poisk is hard mated and the hooks and latches are engaged a short time from now. The fly-around has now been initiated. Again, all of the activities on the Poisk automatically commanded through its onboard computers. This brand new module, again, the first of 3 Russian modules that will be arriving at the International Space Station over the course of the next 2 years. The Poisk arriving today. Its companion, the Mini Research Module 1, to be launched aboard the Shuttle Atlantis next May on the STS-132 mission, to be robotically mated to the nadir port of the Zarya module, which was the first element of the International Space Station, launched back in November of 1998. The multi-purpose laboratory module, a much larger module, the MLM, will be launched on a Proton rocket from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in 2011 to replace the Pirs docking compartment that will be discarded, and all of the internal EVA spacewalk functions that will be conducted at the International Space Station for Russian-based spacewalks will be conducted out of the new Poisk that is now on final approach for docking to the International Space Station. The fly-around is underway.
Range rate is 0.081.
Everything proceeding in smooth fashion. Once the docking occurs, a couple of minutes of dampening of the relative motion between the 2 vehicles will be allowed to enable the relative motion between the Poisk and the International Space Station to dampen out before hooks and latches begin to engage to form a hard mate between the 2 craft.
Copy.
This view from cameras on the Poisk as it automatically conducts its fly-around. moving into position that will ultimately place it about 125 meters directly away from the zenith port of the Zvezda service module, 180 degrees away from where the Piers docking compartment resides. A good view right now of the Poisk taken from the space station truss cameras as it moves in for its precise alignment and for the beginning of several minutes of station keeping, about 8 minutes worth of station keeping to allow the Russian flight control team in Korolyov at the Russian Mission Control Center outside of Moscow to review that precise alignment before the automated commands are given to initiate the final approach for docking. Less than 2 minutes away now from initiating station keeping, which will occur at a distance of about 125 meters. Poisk in the International Space Station traveling 222 miles over the border between Mauritania and Mali, soon to move across Algeria, Tunisia, and the Mediterranean, heading for acquisition over Russian ground stations where the docking is scheduled to occur just before 9:44 a.m. Central Time today. The spacewalk that will be conducted on January 14th by Maksarev and Oleg Kotov to complete the final outfitting of the Poisk involves the installation of 2 Kors automated rendezvous antennas, a docking target, a docking monitor target, and to connect all of that equipment up to an Ethernet cable that will provide the automated transmission of data back and forth between the Poisk and the approaching Russian vehicles that will ultimately use it for a docking port. Additional handrails on the spacewalk hatches, the 2 hatches on the Poisk module, will also be installed, as well as thermal blankets on several of the planes to maintain the correct temperature on the new module. The Poisk is not expected to be used for any spacewalk activity until the Piers docking compartment is discarded prior to the arrival of the multi-purpose laboratory module, a large Russian module that will be launched in 2011 on a Proton rocket to the International Space Station. Now final approach has been initiated. The automatic command sent for the Poisk to begin to close in the final 160 meters for its link up. Docking scheduled about 8.5 minutes from now. You can see the docking port on the zenith side of the Zvezda service module just about in the crosshairs of this engineering view from the cameras on the Poisk module. Poisk now 100 meters away from docking. 64 meters away now, standing by for the retraction of the Kors antenna on the new Poisk module. Everything going by the book, no issues reported, a very smooth approach by the brand new component for the International Space Station. Heidi Poppelreiter, the visiting vehicle officer here in Mission Control, reporting to Flight Director Holly Ridings that the docking mechanism is now activated on the zenith side of the Zvezda service module. You can see the docking target just below the port itself, almost at the center of the crosshairs. 28 meters now separating the Poisk from its final home on the space-facing side of Zvezda. The Kors antenna now has been confirmed to have retracted as planned, everything going by the book. "23 meters away, the Kors automated system now correcting to place the docking target back into the middle of the crosshairs. The docking port itself is at the top of your screen.
Range is about 1 meter.
Standing by for contact and capture.
Closing rate nominal, standing by for contact. Copy. Contact confirmed. Maxime,
docking confirmed at 9:41 a.m. Central Time.
Thank you, Maxime, for your work. Congratulations to you.
A new addition to the International Space Station, the Poisk module.
Sorry, say again, Moscow.
Docking occurring 222 miles over northern Kazakhstan at 9:41 a.m. Central Time. Station now in free drift, all thrusters disabled to enable relative motion between the newly arrived Poisk and the Zvezda service module to dampen out before the initiation of hooks and latches. A flawless textbook approach by the new module that was launched on Tuesday from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan on a modified Soyuz rocket. The two-day transit was uneventful. Again, docking occurring at 9:41 a.m. Central Time, 222 miles over northern Kazakhstan.